Are you frustrated with endless feeding schedules? Let Grow Dots take the wheel. Imagine planting a seed and watching it burst into life, effortlessly reaching its full potential. Grow Dot's unique programmed release technology simplifies plant nutrition, providing all essential nutrients in a single application. Time-saving, efficient and hassle-free. From lush foliage to vibrant blooms, Grow Dots ensures each stage of growth is nourished to perfection. Compare this with traditional methods and you'll see why gardeners everywhere are switching. No more guesswork, just thriving plants. Join countless satisfied growers who've transformed their gardens with Grow Dots and recharge. Visit www.realgrowers.com/Cortez and make your garden dreams a reality. Why wait? Your best harvest starts now.
Go to the link in the description to save big and score free shipping on all Real Growers products, or use coupon code Cortez at checkout. Every time you save, you're also helping the channel bring you content like this.
Now hush, little baby, don't you cry. Everything's gonna be alright. Stiffen that upper lip up, little lady. I told ya, daddy's here.
Take Maurice for ransom.
I know mommy's not here right now, and we don't know why. We fear how we feel inside. It may seem a little crazy, pretty baby, but I promise mama's gonna be alright.
What's going on, everybody? It's Cortez the Conqueror, and I had to bring in my friend Emily to help me kick off the documentary here. We are going to be talking about cannabis as alternative medicine.
I am super excited for this topic. I don't think it gets talked about enough or explored enough in the different ways that cannabis can be utilized.
Right, over just using like big pharma or something like that is like a go-to, you know?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I knew that you'd have like a really interesting perspective on things, should we say? So that's
Yeah.
why you were kind of like my obvious choice to go ahead and start off the documentary.
Well, I appreciate you reaching out to me. Good or bad, I've definitely had my experience in the mental health field, in the physical, ailment conditions and everything like that.
Right,
So
right.
I've been able to utilize cannabis as my form of alternate medicine for years now. And I haven't been able to, or I have made the choice to not use big pharma to treat these, because I do have access to cannabis. And I've been able to do my own, research and development to figure out what does work for me. So I'm really hoping
Right.
that this will bring attention to it, will help people realize there
At
are
least
ways
bring
that you can.
awareness.
Yes, exactly. Even if they are not using it currently, it'll get people to understand there are ways that you can use it aside from, just getting high.
Right. To more increase the quality of your life.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think one of the biggest things when it comes to using cannabis is that regardless of how you use it, it is always medicinal. Even if you're using it for a
Mhm.
recreational benefit, that is still, like you just said, adding what did you just say? Adding benefit to life. You know, it's adding
Right.
quality to
Adding a
life.
little bit of quality.
Yeah,
You know, at
absolutely.
this point, cannabis actually is my prescribed medication for the issues that, I got to deal with on a daily basis, as far as like PTSD and anxiety, just from some of the things that I've been through in life. So,
And I bet you your life is better for it, man.
oh, it definitely is.
Yeah,
But
I've been able to
before,
use cannabis. So coming from Illinois, it had a medical program, and that's when I began utilizing cannabis was through I got my medical card, and that's when I first had consumed and tried out everything. And having that, I feel just so nervous. I'm sorry, actually.
opportunity.
Yeah, I feel so nervous right now because we're pre-recording, and I know that's so silly, but um I lost my train of thought and I'm so sorry about that. But I am just nervous, I feel like. And I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's just us talking, so.
Yeah, it feels more important than that though. Like it feels like a serious thing because cannabis is so important to me. And there are reasons like when I got my medical card, I got approved for certain reasons, for certain ailments
Right.
and conditions. And yet I've, been turned away from cannabis and told, "Oh, you shouldn't use that," for other ones that I experienced. And, even though I've had a medical card and I've been given it for prescribed reasons, I've found other ways that I've been able to utilize it that people will look at you and say, "Oh, you shouldn't be touching that." But if you do the work, if you do the research into it, you
The
can
due
you can help heal
diligence.
yourself. Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's what I was
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
trying to say. But sorry, I just got to take a breath for a minute, I guess.
Oh, it's all good. But we are about to get into our first clip of the series here. So, to kick everything off, who better than J.R. Token? So, JR, if you wouldn't mind, I know you've gone through a lot of health stuff lately. I know you just had something that really helped you out, but I was kind of hoping that we could get into that a little bit and then get into some of the ways that you use cannabis to treat some of the symptoms or some of the ailments
Yeah,
around
for
what you
sure.
got going on.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
So, where do we start off? So, how did you lose your leg exactly? It was like a construction accident? Let's start from the beginning a little
Yeah,
bit.
I had a construction accident, and the surgeries that put all of my bones back together didn't really work out, and so I developed also these tumors down in my ankle. They're called traumatic neuromas, and they're from like major accidents. It's when the end of a severed nerve or a nerve starts building a tumor on the end of it, and then the end of that tumor, it never just stops firing. And so I had this condition down in my ankle, and at the time in those days, they didn't know what traumatic neuromas were. And so they told me if I cut my leg off, I'd have like this 98% chance of having a better life. And so I went for it, and they were wrong. As soon as they
They
cut
really
off
tried
my
to sell you on that, huh?
Yeah, as soon as they cut off my leg, all those severed nerves started growing these tumors. And so they tucked and cut and isolated it down to where I have a tumor that only grows on my sciatic. The other ones have been pretty much taken out, removed, and resected up into my thigh. So that's the one that was giving me this really horrific problems. And so I started using cannabis as medicine, smoking it, just to kind of deal with the acute pain. Because sometimes when you're in a really intense pain cycle, if you do a dab or you hit a joint, it'll take it down a few notches and sometimes make it tolerable. The other side of it is when you're going through all this in your life and you're trying to kind of cope with all this fuckery, it also helps your mental state because it kind of helps you stay centered in kind of a love. For me, it just helped me stay centered in a love kind of energy, and I just plow forward.
A little bit
trying
more
to get
mellow.
through Yeah, just trying to get through each day, doing the best I can under the circumstances. And then once I had cancer, that's when I got introduced to RSO. And that's when I started really understanding what full spectrum edibles, whether they're from rosin, FICO, RSO, whatever you want to call it, if it's a full spectrum edible, then the way your body metabolizes that, your liver, it's different. And so you get a more medicinal, I would almost say like a sedative narcotic effect, depending on the strain.
Well, the narcotic effect.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you had the accident, when you had the construction accident? How long ago was this?
I was a 19-year-old kid. It was like 35 years ago.
About 35 years ago. And then how long was it before?
I was 19 years old, and I had my first kid, and my second child was 2 months old.
Oh, wow. That's got to make things a little rough.
Yeah,
Definitely
the employer,
good,
the guy the contractor that I was working for wasn't paying workers' comp insurance on any of us workers. And so when I went to get workers' comp, there was none. And so when you don't have workers' comp, they just put you on, welfare.
Right.
And so then you got to try to feed your family on. I'm like horribly disfigured from this accident. The asshole I'm working for says, sorry, go fuck yourself. And then the state says, here's this, like, it was a joke.
It was not even enough to survive.
No, it was not enough to survive. And I'd already been hustling grams because I lived in a beach community. So I would hustle grams for tourists. And so, a person does what they have to do to feed their families. When everyone in your society says go fucking starve and go fuck yourself, you're going to do what you have to do to feed your fucking family, man.
Yeah. Surprising what you can do sometimes when there's no other choice.
Well,
okay, so that was about 35 years ago. But then how long was it before like the cancer set in from like the surgeries and everything?
That was 6 years ago is when 6 years ago is when I got my cancer situation. And so I had a big section of my insides cut out, and then the guy who put me back together didn't put my insides back in right, and they tied in a knot, and so was a 19-centimeter section of my small intestines was tied in a knot and went black and died, and so I had to have that cut out of me as well. So I've been through, I think, totally over 25, 26 surgical procedures over the years. And I've navigated every kind of therapy, drugs, all the shit that they've tried. I mean, back in the 90s, it was off the charts what they were. It
was a free for all.
It was sick.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it really fucked a lot of people up. And there's still some of
Look
those
at what they did to kids, like my generation. I'm a little bit younger than you.
Hey,
I'm
bro,
30.
you know what? I want to talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind. I mean, the influences that you kids had about popping, popping perks and shit like that, bro. I don't know that all that messaging wasn't designed to destroy you as a community.
But then when you look at it like this too, the point that I was bringing up, like my generation is, because I was born in 87, grew up, grade school, middle school through the 90s. So it's kind of like my generation. And I was like a hyper ass kid. I could never sit down. So they threw every pill at me imaginable. And my mom was like, oh, I give them a pill and we can fix them. But we got all the Ritalin, all the Adderall, all the Zoloft, all of that crap. But I'm not sure if you know about that one. But it was like,
So, no, because
experimental dosage.
you're the generation of my children. I was raising you guys when all this shit was going down. I had a kid who was hyperactive. I had a kid who didn't want to sit in a fucking chair in a classroom for 7 hours a day and do dumb shit when he's a little boy, you know? He's not geared for that, and it ain't fucking right. And so their alternative was like, oh, hey, we need to put him on these drugs. We need to put him on this behavior medicine. And we were like, no, go fuck yourself. And guess what? By the time he was in high school, he was totally chilled the fuck out. He totally had a focus. He became vice president of the school. I mean, it was just dumb shit. And if we had put him on that path of Ritalin and all that shit, God only knows where that would have took him, you know?
Right. You know, I do know that is sometimes somewhat like a controversial thing, but I know that there is like exceptions, like even in medical cannabis as a replacement for kids who have like autism, some that have like seizures and stuff. Like one of the people we're definitely going to get on the series coming up after you is Chubbs. That's something that he deals with his kid. But it's like, what a wonderful alternative to all of these pills. And then, like you were saying, it's kind of like almost the conditioning of something, you know, we won't quite put our finger on it, but we'll call it the powers that be. Then they come in with the perkies, the music, the cough syrup, and everything else, you know what I mean? But it's almost like if you really wanted to set somebody up to live that lifestyle, why not get them started at a young age with all these pills for hyperactivity and everything else? And then that kind of brings it back to the food of like, oh, well, maybe my kid's hyperactive because it has like 300 times the daily amount of sugar in the snack that I just gave them.
Yeah. And they talk about I don't know how all the medical shit works, but there's like giant insulin dumps and spikes and crashes whenever you eat a sugary breakfast right before you go to school. Mm-hmm. So then like 3 hours into it, you're just totally crashed out, burnt down from your sugar high, and they're asking you to do multiplication, you know?
And then you're getting in trouble for falling asleep at your desk.
Right. Yeah. I got in trouble for that a lot.
Yeah. So let's talk about more of the pain aspect, more of the pain management aspect. I know there's been times you've had to deal with some horrendous stuff from like the nerves firing and everything that kind of led into the surgery that you just got recently that's helped out a little bit.
Yeah, it's helped out a tremendous amount. So I would go into these pain cycles that would be at literally an 8 to a 10 for up to 36 to 40 hours at a time sometimes with no
How would
relief.
You sleep?
The only relief I would get would be when I literally passed out from sheer exhaustion. And sometimes that would only be 3 or 4 hours at a time. And it was just these nightmarish pain cycles. And I finally got to the point where I would let them do the spinal implant. And so I got a spinal cord stimulator put into my spine. And basically it's like a TENS unit, an internal TENS unit that latches on to your spine. And each of the leads have these little leech-looking things that cling onto you. And so they can dial in the zones of where the interruptive signal is. And so then when my tumor is trying to fire the signal up my leg, up to my brain, it blocks it at my spine. It doesn't let the signal get to my brain. And so since my surgery, I've not had a pain cycle at an 8 to a 10. I have had some pain. I would say the most is a 6, maybe a 7. And when I have those cycles in the past, I would lose days. Like I would be really fucked up for 3 or 4 days. And then I would take me a day or two cognitively to kind of get my shit, because you're in a battle. You're in
To
that
get your
much pain.
bearings back.
Yeah, just to get your shit back together. And so I could lose like 4 or 5 days in a pain cycle of productivity, where now I might lose, at the most I've lost in a day since then is maybe 60% of one day, just one day. So it's been a tremendous change in my life. And like, I developed
It's
that
definite
pain rub
improvement.
for the, yeah, I developed that pain rub for the, for the tumor site. And I pretty much don't even use it anymore. I mean, I use it maybe on the end of my stump after I've been hauling ass all day.
So now, we finally found something that's helped out a bit, brought you some mediation as far as the pain. But when you were going through that time until you got the surgery that finally worked, because I know you've been through a couple trying to find like the right thing to do. What was some of the treatment that you would use, like through cannabis? What were some of, I guess, would you smoke it? Would you take edibles? I know you just mentioned like the topical and everything. If somebody out there is living in some type of pain like that, what are some of their alternatives to just taking like an opioid?
I would definitely say the first thing, if you have even gotten yourself into an opioid cycle and you're looking to get out of that cycle, you want to do like a RSO. You want to do something that's going to be heavy enough to help you exit off that opioid in a way that's safe. Obviously, you want to kind of wean down the best you can till you get to that point where you're ready to jump off. But when you do jump off, you want to do a heavy edible. If you're just going to rely on smoking, it's probably not going to do.
So I really don't think I could have brought anybody else better on to kick off this topic. J.R. Token, he is truly one of the warriors of the cannabis community.
I think that's my first time actually hearing his story. I mean, I've encountered him in passing in the community and things, but that's the first time that I've actually got to hear kind of what he's been through. And my heart
All the
goes out
nitty
to
gritty
him.
of all of it.
My heart goes
Yeah.
out to you, man. I'm sorry.
No, but JR is definitely not a victim though. Like you won't find anybody with like a better attitude, anybody else that's like willing to help anybody else out. You know what I mean? Through all that, like he still holds his head high and has like a good attitude. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah. I mean, cannabis will help you keep up high hopes.
Keep a smile on your face.
Yeah. I'm glad. I think he brought up some really good points, though. Specifically, he had said that taking a heavy hit, a large hit of some type, like a dab, is a way to decrease that acute pain that you receive, and I think that is one of the most. I think that's one of the most beneficial ways to use it, like to have access to different types of consumption to help for the different aspects that you need to reach. He'll use topicals to help out with the nerve pain and the physical aspect. He'll use full extract cannabis oil or RSO to heavy hit from the inside out, and then he'll be able to mitigate in between dosages with, say, a joint, or something comes and spikes right
Right.
away, so he's going to fight back with a dab. He doesn't
Mhm.
let it take him out.
Well, if you do the dab, that's kind of like the quickest onset. Not to say that it's going to have as heavy as an effect as like the RSO or like a high dose edible. Because, if you eat like a gummy or something, you still got to wait maybe like, oh, wait, are we there?
It's
So
Yeah,
if
you're
you
here.
eat like a gummy or something, then you got to wait that 30, 40 minutes, but something to snap it in a little bit faster and while everything else is coming around.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think that's probably one of my most go-to ways of medicating. It would be to I want the RSO. I want that in my system, in my body, and I want to keep that throughout the day. So I'll dose different dosages throughout the day depending on my task, what I have to do and what's required of me. And then usually, some of the things that I struggle with, nighttime, it seems to be a bit harder of a time to get through. So I'll make sure that I'll have a heavier dosage then, but I'm also still utilizing cannabis throughout. I don't just take it and then cross my fingers and hope that it's going to work and take it all away. I'm still being cognizant
Right,
of,
right.
okay, in the meantime, I need to make sure that this stays down. Otherwise, I might puke it up and then it's not medicine at all. So let me take a dab, let me relax my stomach, because I deal with oh my gosh, he was talking about how he had like a knot in his intestines that had to be cut out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like digestive issues are debilitating. You can't function if you can't eat, you can't get any
Right,
nutrition in
right.
you. How do you absorb it? And so like that, even just having to find out a way to take the RSO and make sure it stays in you to utilize that and have it go through your bloodstream and everything. Like you have to figure out how to get that medicine in you, for some people. So don't think that it's just going to be, let me smoke a joint and everything is perfect. You will have to figure out a way to medicate yourself for your own needs.
Right, to kind of tailor it to your own situation. But that's kind of why it is so cool with like cannabis as an alternative medicine because it is so versatile. It can apply to so many different situations.
It absolutely can. I mean, from like he said, the mental health aspect of being able to grow your own medicine, being able to utilize every single therapeutic aspect of the plant, from growing to consuming to from growing it. Okay, so you have to take care of it, you have to put your energy and everything into the seed to help it to grow into a clone, if you want to grow from clone, whatever you want to do. You have to put your energy, your time, your wants into that. You have to give it the proper attention and care in the right environment, and then you're putting all of that into it, and then you get to harvest it, and you get to watch it, like as you trim it and everything, and you get to focus your energy right then in that moment of, hey, I created this, I grew this, and now I get to see it in its beauty right here in front of me. I get to uncover it, when you're trimming it. Then you get to actually consume it. And then not only are you consuming the medicine, because that's, cannabis is what we're using here, but you get to consume it and realize, hey, I put my energy, I put my growth into this, and now it's coming back into me. It's a full circle in a spiritual aspect just as much as it is a medicinal aspect.
Oh,
I
very
think,
much so.
yeah, I
And
think
that
growing, if
is
you can grow, you
actually,
should.
oh, most definitely. And that is actually the perfect segue into our next clip into the series, where we're going to get a little bit more into how someone used their grow to help them kick another habit. So we're going to go ahead and get into the second part of the documentary here today. And I brought out my friend. This 10 ain't for camping.
What's going on, bro? How you doing today?
I'm pretty good, pretty good. I don't know, just really out here trying to spread some awareness. You know what I mean? There's different people in the community, and like we never really know like other people's pain or what they've been through or like what they have going on in their life. So there's certain things that through making this piece of content, I really just want to bring awareness.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And hey, I've been there, so I'm with you on that, man.
Almost definitely. But here, do you want to go ahead and get into the clip?
Yeah, roll it.
On podcasts, there's been many times I heard people talk about growing weed and their addictions and how growing weed helped them with it. That got me thinking a lot since I come from a background of just that. So today I wanted to share my experiences, insights with you regarding the matter. First, I want to say I'm not a doctor, I'm not a counselor, not a 12-step program. Just another tool in our toolbox to help me with my addiction, recovery. Man's is only good as his tools. The cliche I live by. This is just my experience, what I see from many others that went down the same path I did, with hard drugs, getting off them, and growing weed. Quick background on me. From Buffalo, New York, My name's City Gone Country. I haven't had a drink in 12 years. I haven't done opiates in 15 years. Being a drug addict, you're not just addicted to the drugs, you're addicted to the lifestyle. Let's just say you're out of dope. It's payday. You know you're going to get it. You know you called your dealer. He's ready. Your neighbor about to fill their script. You know you're going to get that fix. The best way I could describe that is Christmas times 10. By far. Only addicts truly know what I'm talking about here. So when you give up that addiction, you still have a hole. I have a hole. I have a hole that I need to have filled. And what I found that fills that hole is having a passion. One of my passions is growing weed. And this makes sense to me, this whole Christmas times 10 feeling you get with growing weed in comparison with an addiction. You know, you start out, you did all your research, you know, you made some connections, you networked with some people, bunch of books, looked up for equipment and everything, and all of a sudden you're starting to grow. You sprout your first seed. Gosh, okay, the blood starts pumping. Now you get through the whole vegetation cycle, 30 days, 45 days, whatever it may be, and it's ready to flip. You're ready to go into flower. You're ready to put your garden in 12-12. Man, that's a feeling. That gets my blood pumping. Christmas times 10, not quite there, but it's getting my blood pumping. You know, it's feeding that passion, feeding that desire to grow weed, keep me busy. You know, you get to week 5, week 6, flower. Now your plants are getting photogenic. Now you want to start taking pictures. At least I do. Oh, now you're getting more excited. The finish line is near. Day 49 comes around. That's when I feed it winter frost. Winter frost is a sure tell sign to me that it's just about done. Got that extra push with it. And harvest day comes. Gosh, that is Christmas times 10. Christmas times 10. Feelings like that fill that hole of addiction that I have. That lifestyle part of the hole, not the drug itself. And it's helped me on my journey of recovery. It truly has. And I have other addicts, recovered addicts that are friends. And they grow. And they say the same thing. And some of they're so passionate about it. I get on the phone with my buddy Tony, and it's all day long, just talking about growing. It's excited. It's like our first grow. You know, it's like brand new, but it's not. I've been doing it for years. And it gets me going. It gets us going. And this whole time while I'm doing this research and this, you know, feeding these plants in the garden, finding peace within myself, you know, it's kind of like my yoga, you know, nothing's going to bother me. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just focusing on that garden. Peace of mind. What I'm doing throughout this whole time is I'm doing something that I feel is productive of my time. It's keeping me busy. One thing, I'll say this. I've attempted and failed numerous times at cleaning my act with opiates and alcohol. I picked myself back up. One thing I found during those times is an idle mind is not your friend. It's not my friend. It's the devil's playground. It truly is. Cliche after cliche I heard in recovery, and that's just a big one for me. If I'm bored, that's a choice. Being bored is 100% a choice. Right now, I have so many things going on in my life. I don't even know where the time goes. I don't have time for anything. I kind of like it that way. And with these plants, with this garden, they take up a huge chunk of my free time. It doesn't have me thinking about bad things because when that idle time comes around, eventually I'm going to have them bad thoughts coming. Eventually, I'm going to be thinking about my past or getting depressed over something, wanting to numb myself. I don't want that. I don't want that. I've seen it happen time and time again. Here's another thing I learned just from observation with talking to addicts that grow. They're probably some of the best growers I ever met in my life. They're very, very good to say the least. And I think part of that reason is addicts, they share a very, very similar attributes. We share a lot of similar attributes for the most part. Going to meetings, I see this all the time. We like to be the center of attention. We like to be the star of the show. We really do. We're all chips in. It's all or nothing. I either want to go full boat at this or I don't want to do it at all. Pride. Lots and lots of pride. Intelligence. Care what anybody says. Some of the smartest people I've ever talked to in my life are addicts, recovered addicts. We have drive. We have a tremendous drive. And when you're in recovery, you have more things back in that drive because you know how it was. You know how it is now. You don't want to lose how it is now. And you want to proceed into the future and get better. Those are all factors that just push that drive. I told myself when I was going to do this today and share all my experiences and stuff with you, I wasn't going to tell anybody what to do. I won't respond well to that. Most people don't respond well to that. You're new at growing, in recovery or not in recovery, and you fail at growing. Pick right back up and start doing it again. Learn from your mistakes. I've failed numerous times. Kind of funny. Some of them Christmas times 10, I keep on going back to that phrase, comes from me when I am failing, when that plant's starting to show yellow veins, when the leaf tips are burning, which I found out the very, very tips are burning. You're pushing your plant to the fullest. And that's not a bad thing. That's not necessarily a bad thing. But playing Magnum PI, playing an investigator, what's wrong? Why am I showing a mag deficiency? I have gal mag in there. Why am I doing this? Why is this and that happening to the plant? Let's try this. Let's try that. It's not working. Listen to a podcast, Jay Plant Speaker, talking about how if your soil is too cold, that can show a mag deficiency. Now here I did some more research. Let's try this out. Let's get some heat mats. Guess what? Next grow, mag deficiency is gone. And that's just an example. I played investigator. I've done my research. I reached out to people. I networked. Problem solved. I've grown from that. It's a feeling I can't describe. You just have to go through it yourself. I'm going to keep growing as long as I can. I'm going to continue on this journey of life. And talking about this passion, it's not my only passion. I have plenty more. And I'm going to keep following all of them. And I cannot wait to see what the future has in store for me. Don't give up. Do what you got to do to stay straight. Think about this as one of your options. Thank you.
Right. So, what do you think of the clip?
I thought it was well said, and I agree with everything that man said. And I've been there, and it has helped me tremendously. I can't sit here and say, the cannabis itself,
But it's
helps me.
kind of like replacing the habits. It's kind of
Yes.
like
Yep.
when you're in
Filling the
some type
void.
of active addiction, you have those like little rituals that you kind of go about. You know what I mean? So it's kind of
Exactly.
like taking one thing and then replacing the habits with an alternative.
Correct. And that's the other thing. It taught me patience when I didn't have it. It taught me that these
How
plants
to
don't
care for
care.
another living thing besides
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like for all you fathers out there, I'm sure you know about that, and mothers. it's a whole experience that you kind of, like he said, he's like, I'm an investigator, and I just find out, and you network with people, and you just feel like it's like
The
your
sense
brain
of peace.
rebuilds itself, like, and gives
Yeah.
off that endorphin that you probably were getting when, like myself, like doing dope, doing fentanyl, whatever. It just, it's a whole better feeling to be doing something more positive with yourself and just always
And more
going down
rewarding.
each rabbit hole, you know?
Right. Oh no, I definitely feel you there. But yeah, man, and then he kept saying that like Christmas times 10 thing or whatever. It's like once you finally get to that harvest where it's like really nice, it's rewarding, like that's a serotonin release like within itself, you know what I mean? That's triggering some of those pleasure receptors and everything.
Correct. And then that's also like another thing, like when like addicts, I don't know if I'll speak for myself, but the whole routine of going and getting the whole
The
product,
whole ritual.
Yeah, like that whole little cat and mouse game that you would play as an addict each day with yourself was more like, you'd get more like the rush like that. And you kind of do the same thing with growing. Like, I'm always laying in bed, like, what am I going to do next? Like, how am I going to tweak this? What am I going to? So it's like you kind of do the same rituals when you got your
Right.
SOPs with your growing. And
And all of a sudden you
that's,
get like a couple fungus gnats or
yeah,
you get a wrench here or there thrown
yeah.
into the mix.
Yeah. So, but you don't lose your cool. You don't just give up. You just try to.
Right. Well, would you
You,
have stopped trying to get high?
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it definitely. I definitely feel for that clip. It definitely brings home, and I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people that maybe.
There's a lot of people in the community that this is going to speak to.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I
Most
hope it does. I'm not going to say it's like a cure all, one fits all. I would say, make sure
Just bring
you're
awareness.
big.
Maybe if there is somebody out there that's watching this and they are struggling with something like that, I mean, like, hopefully this video can reach them. We can welcome them into the cannabis community with open
Yeah,
arms. I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
come here,
Yeah,
brother. Come here.
yeah. Come on over here. I mean, it can be so much better for people to actually have a purpose too, because when you're
Right.
running
Something to be
around just.
proud of.
Yeah, exactly. When you're running around acting like a scallywag, you know what I mean? Like, like you're growing these beautiful flowers and then you're throwing them out on whatever YouTube or Instagram, or connecting with people in Discord or whatever the case may be, and y'all just
Whatever
start trading.
your poison is.
Yeah, and then it's just, you just start unlocking all this other stuff, and then before you know it, like he said, you know, when you got time on your hands, you get that itch, or you start thinking negatively, or you just may not have nothing else. Like me, I had money, I made money all the time, you know what I mean? So it
Right.
wasn't about not
Gave you
having money,
something
it was
to
boring. I was bored. I
right.
need to, it's like you grind at work, you come home, well, I want to feel
It's like you're
numb.
at work, you're
Yeah.
walking past the vending machine and you're buying like a $2 bag of chips. It's like, do I really want these chips or am I just bored?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like where I ended up. And then before I knew it, I had a problem, and you know, I got it under control. Unfortunately for other people, I don't count like how many years I've been clean, because me
Right.
personally, I don't want to add a boy for being clean. I don't want to,
Right.
because I was doing something I wasn't supposed to from the beginning. So like, I don't want nobody to congratulate me. So I kind of carry it different. So
Yeah.
when it
You're
comes to
not out there
addiction,
trying to play the victim Olympics. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
When I did it to my fucking self, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
and
But
that's
you know
just
what
kind
you
of
got to
my.
do. So it's really at this point, it's just staying the course. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
Not
exactly.
giving up.
Yep. And that's kind of what all this is. There's so much to do when it comes to this. Like, what are you going to do next? Like, are you going to do a different thing? You're going to start breeding? Are you, your mind's just constantly
Right.
clouded with this new found growing cannabis, and you're just so stuck on it. Like, you ain't got no time to go out there and go score. So, I encourage what he's saying. Start growing if you can, or if you can't, still do it. Yeah.
Well, you know,
It
like
says it right here.
especially here in Illinois, they actually have, so like we have two different cannabis programs. One is for medical patients, but there's also a cannabis program that's for like exiting off of opioids.
Really? Wow,
Hmm.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
At least
yeah, they
at least they're seeing the benefits of it.
it is messed up as Illinois cannabis is. Trust me, it's just a big racket at the end of the day. But they actually did build that into our cannabis med system.
Wow. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. That is actually how here in Virginia I got up with I went and got help, and it was a facility that actually got me my med card. They
Yeah. Oh yeah.
actually they actually
They
hooked me
set
up
you
with
up the right way.
tincture, everything. They monitored me for those few days when I was withdrawing. They gave me the tincture oil. They gave me actual gummies. They were like, here, take this actual cannabis. Even though I'm not allowed to give you this, I could get fired if you ran your mouth like I'm
Yeah.
giving you cannabis. Like, just
I don't want to
do
clean
not
up
go
your puke
use.
all night.
Yeah,
Just take
yeah,
this.
yeah. So they helped me, and and I thought that was awesome. Like, and
Oh
so
yeah,
I'm sure there's other places out there that are similar to like that. So
most definitely.
yeah,
But you know, it's actually kind of funny that you got the El Connoisseur shirt on there
yeah,
because that actually perfectly sets us up to get into our next clip. So the next time I see you guys, I will be with L. And as promised, we got my buddy El Canosaur. What's going
That's
on, man?
me. Not much, dude. How you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good, pretty good. You know, just trying to put this little documentary together, if you will, just trying to spread some awareness in the
Yeah.
community. Maybe this video can reach somebody out there that, you know, has been looking for some help, but just kind of needs like that last little nudge, and
Yeah.
maybe you can
Yeah.
find some support within the grow community.
100%. Thank you for asking me to do this, man. I appreciate it. I've had a few people reach out to me knowing that I've, given up drinking, and this has kind of helped me. So, I've had a few people reach out and ask how I did it. So always
Hell
willing
yeah.
to help. Always willing to help.
And you know, there's like certain stuff, like everybody out there, like we're all dealing with something, you know what I mean?
Yep.
At the same time, like we never really know what people are kind of like struggling with silently. So you know what I mean? Like hopefully this
100%.
video at least does find one person that it can help.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll find somebody, man. I mean,
It'll
there's
find somebody.
a lot of people struggling for help, and they
It's a
find it
big community.
like this. All the YouTube growers, streamers, and all that. That's where when I stopped drinking, I started watching them a lot more heavily, paying attention to what they were saying, and it upped my growing game, and it's now just consumed my life. Now I've just growing is my thing, you know.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think growing saved a lot of us, brother.
Yeah. And it's not even the consuming;
In
it's
one
literally
way or another.
the act of
The lifestyle.
the growing of it. Yeah, it's consuming's it's a help, but it gives me it's a time consuming practice. Keeps my mind occupied.
Idle hands, right? Devil's
Yep,
plaything.
yeah. Yeah, I have to check my phone to see how many days it's been since I drank, because I don't even remember anymore. I have to look at my phone and be like, oh, it's 600 and something days. Wow, holy shit. It's just keeps my mind busy.
Yeah, time flies when you're not keeping track.
That and the podcast and everything too. You know, the artwork, all just the stuff that I've been doing. It's like my method of you know, keeping my mind off of grabbing another beer or you know, making a bad decision.
Yeah, definitely want to stay away from those.
Oh, yeah.
All right, do you want to go ahead and get into today's clip?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Bring it on.
All right, with one of my buddies, the Instagram comedian, Captain Morgan. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Cortez the Conqueror. I've actually got a really special thing that I'm working on here, and it's something that's pretty close to my heart, and it is big pharma and the cannabis aspects that we can replace a lot of these prescription pills with. And then I want to touch on different topics, different aspects of cannabis pain management, but I also want to touch on the opioid epidemic as well. One of the areas that was really affected was the South, the Appalachians. We know, well, I'm not sure how much I can get into it on YouTube without them like dinging my videos. So I don't want to talk about like Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family too much, but it might be a good Google search for you guys. But I wanted to get a guest that could kind of bring it in a little bit closer, somebody that's got a little bit more firsthand experience. So I got my buddy Chance here. He goes by, what do you go by on Instagram? Just so everybody knows, go ahead and give yourself a shout out, Captain Morgan.
Yeah, I go by, first of all, I appreciate you, brother. And I go by Captain Morgan officially _ between the names on Instagram and Captain Morgan official, same thing on TikTok.
All right. If you guys want to find the Instagram link, I'm actually going to drop it at the bottom of the screen here. That way people go ahead and check it out. So what's some things you've seen, man? Like what would that have been? Like maybe late 90s, early 2000s, the doctors started writing them prescriptions?
Yeah, I'm from southwestern Virginia, so a lot of people mix it up. Like, oh, you're from West Virginia, but no, we're just right down the road, right in the coal fields, man. About 45 minutes from Eastern Kentucky, about an hour from West Virginia, 45 minutes from Tennessee, where I'm at now.
A little coal mining town, huh?
Yeah, that's all that was around there. My great grandfather was president of one of the biggest outfits there back in the 80s and early 90s. I went into it, family's into it, and my entire adult life underground. So. But as far as the opioids, man, it's a whole different game when you're coming from the mountains like that, because you're completely shut off. With my town, my graduating class was 28 people. The town is one way in and one way out, and that's one road that starts on one end and one road that starts on the other end, and they both go the same direction. So, but it's honestly, man, I was born in '90. I was raised by a good family. I come from they were either educated or they worked, but man, it was heaven on earth back in my small town. Like I said, graduating class, 28 people.
Right.
I remember about 98 was the first overdose that I remember hearing about, and that was morphine. That was before the OCs was really getting to where people really get a hold of them. And then, man,
right, that, where it kind of went like mainstream, just about anybody and their aunt could get their hands on them.
Yeah, what it was that we had so many coal miners in the area and so many railroad workers, people that had really carried that small town life and economy on their backs. And a lot of people don't work. So, you got a lot of people, just a lot of bad stuff, poverty going on anyway. And what it was, they started handing out all these pills. They guinea pigged us, man. I remember back at Dateline talking about Coburn, Virginia, which is like 8 miles from my house. And when I was younger, and then the cool kids were getting a hold of the 80s, the OC 80s, and then you start hearing about them, they were shooting them and everything like that. You never heard about meth, man, and then here recently is when the meth really came. But everybody was smoking pot, man. When I was in elementary school, everybody was potheads, 6th, 7th grade, and that was the thing, man, and I never did it.
Having a good old time.
I waited till I was like 27, 28 to start smoking pot, man.
Really?
Best thing ever happened to me too, dude. Slung a whole lot of it. I was working in the mines, just a little bit of extra money, whatever here and there, hang out and everything. But it honestly saved my life, because I was getting pure heroin. We were getting pure fentanyl. It would come and it would come with a whole set. It would come with the sometimes it was Infamil, things like that, and already pre ready to mix up and everything like that. But I was doing a heroin lace with fentanyl. Knew it was in there. I don't really do nerve pills, but I was getting to where it was. I got to a point in my life where I was like, well, man, I'm just going to keep working in the coal mines, and I'm just going to die on drugs because there's no way I could ever be happy again without it. And methamphetamine was a really big problem for me because I was trying to stay at work. And, I meth for 2 years, fully functioning father, good dad, doing what I needed to do, going to work, good friend. And I started smoking weed, man. One time I got so bad off because I got some really good comedy opportunities, man, and was making a lot of money and made a lot of friends. I mean, I got some of the most famous people in the world follow me on Instagram, because they watched from the beginning what I went through at 145 pounds, and I'm 220 now. I'm supposed to be. I woke up one day, man.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And it's been a journey with God. Honestly, God's what's really got me here. But I'll give myself a little bit of credit. But honestly, man, I know that you're kind of focusing on the cannabis. I don't know if you want to call it the industry or whatever, just the whole idea and subject of period. But I've watched my friends, the ones that have survived, which is two to this day. I have two friends that are left that aren't putting a needle in their arm, or already dead or in prison.
Right.
Looking at, that are already been sentenced to at least 15, some of them life. My daughter's mom's, in jail for screen murder, and she's been there since 2016. So,
Right.
because of dope. But man, honestly, I stayed up 4 or 5 days at a time, hanging out with the glow stick man that was digging holes down by the pond. Living in my parents' basement, and I woke up one day and I was like, man, I blew all kinds of opportunities, and just quit. Just went home to my mom's house and just locked in for a whole year, man, and sat down for a year and I wrote. And I started smoking because I always grew it, even
Hell yeah.
I'm in Virginia, so we, the good tobacco land and everything. And
got green thumb, fertile soil.
we're good at that.
That's
We're
all
good
you
at
really
that.
need.
Yeah, dude, that's how a lot of people, pay for tractor tires, just whatever, a little bit on the
Oh,
side.
yeah.
And,
Good
I
old
started
barter
smoking.
system out there, huh?
Yeah, dude, and where I had
Do a little bit of horse trading. Fuck it.
Yeah, dude, my family's cattle farmers. So I grew up on a big farm, but it's still there. So I grew up playing in cow shit and creeks, Well, you might have seen my video on Instagram or TikTok I posted. We still have a lot of straight pipes. Our creeks are still full of human shit. There's tampons and all kinds of crazy stuff that you just, So we're
Look
pretty
like somewhere
primitive.
in Mexico.
It's crazy, dude. People don't understand. People are like, oh, this isn't real. I'm like, no, you don't understand the poverty that comes with the coal towns and stuff, because ain't
Oh
nobody out
yeah.
there, man. But as far as the pot, man, FJ Outlaw, I don't know if you know who he is. He's the
I'd have to
largest,
look him up.
great guy. Shout out FJ Outlaw, one of my best friends.
Big
But
shout out.
yeah, man. And we were in Alabama, and up until I was 28, I'd probably smoked pot 10 times in my life, and I hit a dab with him for the first time. And when I was in active addiction on Go Fast, and
Right. Hell yeah.
it
And I bet that
completely,
dab still puts you on your ass.
bro. And this was back when I don't even, man. Like I said, it's about 2017, somewhere in there. So I was still
Right.
spawn off, and I started smoking where I'd waited so long to smoke, and I didn't realize, well, it was so great to me because I hadn't completely smoked my entire life. And then once I transitioned,
Right.
I literally, I could sleep, I could think. I have horrible ADHD, PTSD.
You're not the only one.
Right.
You're not alone on that one, my friend.
And honestly, dude, if it wasn't for, God, pot, my family, and I know a lot of people, I catch a lot of hell, man. People are like, it ain't the pot. The pot ain't, dude. I don't care what anybody says, man. I know what it is. I know what it does for me. I know how it works. I would know because when I was smoking meth and snorting pills, bad shit happened. When I
Yeah.
smoke pot, it doesn't matter. If bad shit happens, it's probably because I fell asleep and forgot.
All of a sudden, you got money again. You put a little bit of weight back on. You have
Yeah,
things
man.
again. You're able to be there for your family, not only financially, but also that time to where you're not like looking out windows. You know what I mean?
Exactly, dude. I was able to, my whole life, my teachers, they were like, you're so smart. You can do anything. Because I write. I ghostwrite. That's how I was able to move to Tennessee with the help of my family and stuff, because I've got a great, structure with my family.
Yeah.
And I got a huge writing gig, a huge life-changing gig. And all because of my comedy and stuff that I post. And somebody reached
Right.
out and was like, I got 6 figures for just a bonus for writing for 6 months. And man, I started
That's
putting
the
on these
dream, man.
words.
All right. So yeah, man. That dude's video hits pretty hard, dude. Like all the shit that he's gone through. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
personally have
definitely.
experience with opiates or anything, but we all, I mean, everybody knows somebody, whether it's family, friend, or acquaintance that has. And
Yeah, like opioids were never my thing personally. Like I
yeah,
never was really
but
into downers, you know what I mean?
yeah, but you see it all over the place. I mean, people get hurt, they get prescribed something,
Yeah.
and then next thing you know, they can not get off of that shit. And
You
it's
know
sad.
what though? Like to be honest, like it is like a common trend like in the grow community though, like just from different people I've talked to, I've kind of observed it. Like there's a lot of people that do come to the cannabis community as like an escape from opioids.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
like really at the end of the day to like replace the habits, you know what I mean? The
I
little rituals that we build around our
Mhm.
addictions.
I've personally met quite a few that use this as their escape from addiction. You know, I mean,
Oh yeah.
me myself, I gave up drinking over 600 days ago, and this has become like my core. You know, this is my stronghold. This is what keeps my mind occupied, and it keeps me off the, you know, the negative wavelength of let's go get a beer and just fucking enjoy ourselves.
Right.
You know, it just. Uh,
Well,
yeah,
why don't I go drink 17 of them? I'm bored. Why not?
yeah, you know, I mean,
Tuesday night.
that's my thing too. Is, you know, I crack one. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, there's 30 of them in the trash can. Where the hell did I go last night? What the? You know,
Started tasting good to you.
yeah, I can't even try a like my wife will have non-alcoholic beers every now and then. I don't even. I'm like, no, I don't want to try it. I feel like it'll just, you know, fucking trigger something in my brain. I'll be like, oh, let's go get some beer. So I'm just like, no, I'm good. I'll stick to my water or my Coke. You know,
Go get some Jaeger bombs.
But yeah, dude, I totally get it, and I'm so glad to see that dude had a talent, obviously a very great talent that he had to fall back on and found his way to make something of it. And I feel like social media is a huge help in that for a lot of people. There's a YouTube musician named Honest Ave, and he was a druggie, and now he's on his rise doing some pretty cool music. My wife calls it depression music, but you know, he's got a different sound, and I enjoy
A
it.
little emo.
But he's on his rise up, you know, from you know, down in the slums, and now he's found with social media, started putting his music out there, and now he's on the rise. And I love seeing that shit because I mean, there's negative things to the social media aspect too, but I feel like for a lot of people it can help them, and it's helped me because it's brought me a lot of in my situation here, being a full-time caregiver in a city where I wasn't raised or grew up in. I don't know anybody here, so it's like this is my way of having a connection with people that are into the same thing as me, because the only people I know out here that are into the same thing is a guy that I go and I see at the smoke shop sometimes. Now he's got a job at the dispensary. If I have to go there, I'll see him there. And then that's pretty much it. You know, everybody else is just my family. And then, yeah, that's it, man. I'm online and I'm talking.
Way to
with
talk shop a little bit.
Yeah. My wife gets tired of hearing me talk about it. So
Right.
I gotta come and bug all
Talk
you guys.
about something else. Fine.
Yeah. And I'll talk about something else for a few minutes, and then it always goes back to it somehow, some way.
Right.
Always goes back.
I definitely feel you there. It's like go out and make some friends.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely helped me. And yeah, it's amazing how the especially the Appalachians, like they were hit tremendously hard in those mining towns, like he was saying, dude. They didn't even pay them in money. They gave them fucking like store credit, and they had to shop at
Gave
their
them some
store,
type like stipends. Yeah.
What if you wanted to go travel to Hawaii or something? You don't have any money.
Right.
It makes no sense to me, and it's like
It's pretty much like indentured servitude.
yeah, it amazes me that was
Yeah,
even
you're gonna die in one of
that
them
companies
mines.
are even allowed to do that. And meanwhile, they're killing these people while they're in there working in these mines. It's absurd.
Right.
And,
That's why Big
sad.
Pharma didn't really care to just totally pollute their communities like we see it time and time again.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that you know, I mean, I hope we make a dent in Big Pharma with cannabis, because I feel like it's a huge alternative to any of them.
Well, yeah, that's like anytime that like legalization really or like decriminalization comes, like even where they go to vote on it is like a bill or whatever. The biggest lobbyists to stop it from like actually going through are always big pharma, and then I'm pretty sure I've seen to where like Monsanto has like a vested interest in keeping cannabis legal, but
Well, they
it's like
probably want to get
some of
into
the biggest corporations of the world.
Yeah. I mean, you've got I'm sure that the beer industry, you know, the alcohol industry, they want to start using the cannabis in their drink. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I see
Philip Morris
already has a weed drink, so they're already getting into it, you know. So they want to take over, you know. I'm sure they love monopolizing shit.
Oh yeah, the government hates competition.
Yeah,
that's why I always tell people be careful what you wish for, because it's like if you want like home grow outrightly like recriminalized again, like make it legal. Make it fully legal, take away everything, and just watch how the government takes full control of it.
Yeah, you'll have to
go to a state-run facility.
Pharmacy. You have to have all crazy licenses just to be able to grow it. You know, they'll make sure that you can't just grow it at home legally and
right, because like it's illegal to make your own Tylenol at home. It's illegal to make your own aspirin.
Yeah. But
like literally, like you
can brew your own beer, which is peculiar.
Do that. But I think that's more of like a recent thing, because like if you go back far enough, that definitely wasn't cool.
Yeah. Which I guess it's the alcohol content, but like in the Appalachians, it's huge for moonshine, and that was highly illegal. But you can brew. I guess it's the alcohol content, right? Because it's so fucking potent, so high in alcohol content, the moonshine.
I think it's that. Then there's like tax
maybe
regulations, but it goes back to like prohibition when alcohol is like basically what drugs are now.
I completely forget sometimes, because I've never lived in a state where it's dry, but I completely forget that there's dry states, dry cities, dry counties.
I is.
Forget. Yeah.
Yeah. It blows my mind to like the Bible Belt or somewhere.
Yeah. It's like, I think Utah has a lot of that where it's no alcohol, so it's basically you got to go to like speakeasies and shit.
So, got to go to like the house on the corner and know the secret knock.
I grew up in San Diego. Now I live here in Yuma, and it's alcohol's always been around. So to me, that's just weird. Some people, it's normal. They were raised where alcohol is. I'm sure they still get it. And
that's like here in Chicago, though. There will be like random houses on the block where somebody will like sell loose cigarettes, drinks, chips.
Huh. So
there's usually a house that you can go and get like beers or mixed drinks, and they're selling them like out of their front door.
Fuck, it's a hustle.
That's how you know you're in the hood.
Yeah.
So somebody is running a barber shop out of their basement.
When I was a kid, the liquor store that we used to have the bums go buy us beer at, they sold single cigarettes for $0.25. And we'd be like, hey, go get us a tall cans and get us 2 cigarettes. We'll give you one and one for me. You know what I mean? Pretty funny. It was the only place I ever heard of that did that, selling loosies.
Yeah, but they did. I'm pretty sure it's not allowed, but
you had to know it though. Like I don't think a lot of people knew it. You know, he probably just did it for the homeless guys, and then he probably told us, and we were like, "Oh, go get me a Lucy."
The good old Lucy's. But yeah, we are coming up to the end of the documentary here.
Check me out, dude. I fucking put on my shades for you, man. Fucking Cortez.
Yeah. Out here leaning like a cholo.
That's right. That's how we roll, man.
That's what's up.
Dude, I appreciate you having me on, man. I really do. Thank you for including me, man. It means a lot. And congratulations on your coming up wedding, man. Super congrats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Chris will be there. I won't be there, unfortunately, but Chris will be there, and I'm sure he'll take some pictures for me.
Hell yeah! Are you coming out to the Cup this year?
No, I'm not gonna make it. I've got a thing in Missouri in June, and so I can't do both. So I'm doing. Chris is gonna handle the DGC, then I'm gonna go to the Mocana Fest / Grow Me Talk getaway with my family in the Ozarks. Go fucking do it up in the Ozarks, road trip, you know. So, but hopefully next year I'll make it out to the DGC because I really want to go one year. I'd love to fucking go. I don't think I'll participate, like compete, but I'll just go, you know. I'd love to just experience it one time, get to meet you, Chad Westport, all the DGC guys.
Everybody.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
That'd be awesome, man. Wish you could have made it out. One of these years, though.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I'll be there hopefully next year, maybe the year after, you know.
Fuck yeah.
Someday I won't be caregiving 24/7 and I'll be able to go to meetings, or not meetings, meetups, go to meetups and events and you know, as I please and whatnot. But for right now, like, I have to plan it. I have to get caregivers and make sure that they send caregivers that know what the fuck they're doing. When I went to SeaWorld last weekend, they sent this young girl and she almost dropped him. So it's like, oh, I got to make sure they send somebody that can actually handle picking up a 200-pound man and setting him into the bed. You know? Yeah. So apparently this girl was not. So, and I heard about it.
Uh-oh.
You know how it is. I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is. He's got no one else to get mad at but me. So he's not going to get mad at her. So I took the brunt of it, but it is what it is. You know, I just got to make sure, send somebody stronger next time.
Right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Did you have any shout outs on the way out, dude?
Shout out to you. Shout out to the DGC. And let me see here. I think we're good, dude. Crop Culture, as always, dude. Go fucking check out cropculture.net. And then, yeah, my boy Rue and me do a Friday night live every Friday. And we're starting to do it on my channel. Friday at 7 p.m. Central, and then every Saturday at 5:30 Central we do the Seed to Harvest podcast. And I am currently in the middle of upgrading everything, intro, fucking background. I've got the Discord up. I'm gonna start doing like after the show I'll go to the Discord and sit live with the people that watch and shit for a little while afterwards. Trying to get it.
Oh yeah.
We hit 955 subscribers and now we're just like stuck.
Congratulations.
It's not moved in like 2 months. We're like, what the fuck's going on? So I'm trying to make some improvements so we get that wheel rolling and get some more people tuned in.
And if you guys are watching and you guys don't follow them already, be sure to give the Seed to Harvest podcast guys a follow.
You can search it out. It's at S2H podcast with a T.
Hell yeah. But by the time this runs, I'll have a clickable link down in the description, so no worries there.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right. If you guys haven't already, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See you guys next week.
That like, folks. Give it a tickle. Tickle, 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 tickle.
Peace.
Thank you.